Big news this week in the health world. The FDA will now ban red dye 3 in all foods and beverages starting in 2027 and all medications by 2028.
Yeah, there's been a push for a long time for this, with many studies showing the petroleum-based synthetic food dye is linked to cancer. Joining us to talk more about this is our 9Health expert, Dr. Payal Kohli. Dr. Kohli, thanks for coming in.
Good morning.
First of all, why is this dye even something that we consume in the first place?
It's crazy. It's made from petroleum. And the reason that they put it in our foods, our beauty products, our drinks, is because of the appearance. Because food that is pink or red actually is psychologically more appealing to us. We associate that with ripeness or freshness or sweetness. So it's really a way to sort of trick our brains into thinking that something is better. So strawberry flavored milk, those candies, those red candies that our kids like to eat, cherry red lipsticks, all of those could have this type of dye in it.
Why has this been allowed to stay in foods, beverages, and medicines if studies have shown that it's linked to cancer?
This has been so controversial. So back in the 80s, they actually gave a bunch of rats high doses of red dye number 3, and the rats developed thyroid tumors. Some were benign, but some were cancerous tumors. So after that, the FDA in the 1990s said, okay, let's take it out of the beauty products, but left it in the foods. And the reason they left it is because they said, well, the rat's thyroid is different from the human thyroid. We have not seen human cases of cancer as a result of this, and the doses are probably really low. But increasingly, we're seeing actually evidence emerging about neurobehavioral effects of this. So ADHD, for example, in our kids could potentially be linked to this. Immune dysregulation could potentially be linked to this. So it's so much more than just cancer.
So obviously, we kind of have heard a little bit about it, but I want to know more about your thoughts on this ban, and mostly if you think it goes far enough.
First, it's a long time coming, right? 30 years from the 1980s, whether we know that it causes cancer or not, if it has been associated with it in any way, and it's purely cosmetic, why are we allowing it in our food? And second, I do not think it goes far enough, because what about all the other dyes that are out there? What about all the other food additives? And for many of us, we sort of assume that the FDA is watching our back. If it's in our food, it must be safe. In fact, in Europe, they're actually putting warning labels on a lot of the foods now, including red dye number 40, because of the fact that they have health risks.
So that's my next question. I have been told about red dye 40 for a while, and I've been taking it out of, anytime I see red dye 40, I'm like, no way it's coming in my house. But red dye 3 wasn't even on my radar.
Well,
so what's the difference between the two?
So red dye number 40 is very commonly used, perhaps the most commonly used additive. It's actually thought to be safer than red dye number 3 because it doesn't have a lot of those associations with cancer. But just as I said before, in Europe, they've actually put an ADHD warning on red dye number 40 because we're seeing that it's not just cancer, it's a lot of other things that it could be associated with.
Really quickly, because we are out of time, but what are some of the other dyes just to put on our radar? Because like you mentioned, that wasn't on yours. What should be on ours?
Yellow and blue, because those are in smaller doses linked to some of these adverse effects. And a lot of this isn't going to take effect for a couple of years, as you said, so it's really up to us to look at the labels, seek natural alternatives like beet juice or hibiscus for coloring, if you do have any coloring in your food. But really, if you see red dye 3, 40, blue, yellow, get rid of those. Don't give those to your kids.
Some of the biggest culprits are those cereals, guys, those kids' cereals. It's like in all of that. That's why the colors are so vibrant.
Well, and we're helping the kids nowadays. Meanwhile, we've been consuming it for
forever, right?
Yeah.
And your beauty products, too.
Yes.
You should look at those as well.
Good reminder.
Dr. Kohli, thank you. And you can find all of Dr. Kohli's appearances at 9news.com/Dr. Kohli.